Yo, what is up guys, my name is Grizzly. Today I'm bringing you a Ekko top lane guide, specifically Ekko tank top lane. Now you might be wondering, why would you ever build Ekko tank, cause he has such great AP scalings on almost all of his abilities. But the reason for why you build tanky is because tank items in general are extremely strong at the moment. Mainly Sunfire Cape and Iceborne Gauntlet are two items that are so strong with a champion with a lot of mobility and a general well-rounded kit. The kit doesn't necessarily have to have a lot of damage, but along with these items, as long as you have the gap closing abilities and some sort of CC, these champions become unstoppable, and Ekko is a perfect example of this. So, starting things off, I want to cover the runes which I use on Ekko top lane. Right now for Ekko top lane I prefer attack speed marks over magic penetration. This is because of the early game last hitting it helps with immensely, and also because of the increased DPS in general in the later stages of the game. As for seals, I usually always go 9 flat armor because it helps so much in the early game, while if I were to face against a Lulu for example I would probably go scaling health. For glyphs I go for either scaling cooldown reduction, 15% at level 18, or I go for flat magic resist for AP matchups that bully me a lot in the early stages. As for quints, I always go 15 ability power, because it helps Ekko so much with trading and it even scales decently well. Here's a picture of the rune page, which I usually run if you want to copy it. Moving on to the masteries, it's extremely straightforward. You want to have a grasp of the Undying when you play tank Ekko. It gives you so much value in the early game, in the mid game and in the late game. It's just overall the best mastery if you're gonna build very tanky. Other than that, you can choose to go into either Cunning or Ferocity. If you choose to go into Ferocity, you will play a more aggressive playstyle in lane and you will probably want to trade into your opponent a lot and even go for kills if you're ahead enough. If you go into Cunning, however, you're playing the safe and more reserved playstyle, you will scale better into the late game, and I would recommend going into Cunning if you're against a tank. Here is a picture of an example mastery page, and this is what I would run into carries and the people who I think I can kill in lane. The build tends to vary quite a lot depending on what you're facing, but in almost every game you want to go Sunfire Cape and Iceborne Gauntlet as your two core items. This is because these items enable you to do a lot of damage while still being extremely tanky. After that you can go into Spirit Visage, Dead Man's Plate or Abyssal Scepter if you're doing extremely well. I like to round out the build with either Titanic Hydra or Sterox Gauge or something like that. Ekko is really strong right now and is also extremely fun to play. I really suggest you pick him up in your solo queue games. He's really easy to play, but he is hard to master. With the tank build you have a lot of room for error, and overall you will have a very pleasant experience.